Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the FM Training Series here on Bustthenet. Yes, we have quite a number of shows on this channel now. I've got a whole series dedicated to training. I've got a whole series dedicated to tactics. I had a series on called the Asian Journeyman that died because the data wouldn't scale properly and the whole game got bugged. And then we have other saves as well. I've got a whole how-to series I'm working on as well as other small little projects that are going to be on the air very, very soon. So, on today's episode, we're going to be looking at something that I think is pretty important. It may be a feature of the game that some people might overlook, but I have noticed some bad information and I want to correct some of the myths that have emerged in the last couple of years over match preparation. Yes, I'm going to look at match preparation. It may seem like a boring thing, but some people ask me how is it possible for me to score such good counter-attacking goals. I mean, some of my counter-attacking goals are cool, and some of my set-piece goals, like this one, is totally amazing. Well, you're not always gonna score goals like this week in, week out, but with the right kind of setup in your team, you can. And when they do come off, you'll be jumping off your chair like I did because when that goal went in, I was completely stunned. 8 passes for a corner? My word. Okay, so what is match preparation exactly? Now, I've done this guide before on my website at addicted2fm.com. A lot of the information is still relevant. Basically, training is divided into 3 categories, right? General training, scheduling, and match preparation. We've all covered that. I've covered that in the first episode of the show. Basically, you want to ensure that your players' overall workloads when it comes to training is always going to be heavy as much as possible. So if you the moment you see a couple of heavies, you're fine. Chances are when you load them up with the additional focus, they'll probably get to heavy. And if you give them for some of the players, if you give them a new player trait, they might get very heavy. The moment you see very heavy, you don't want to go any higher than that because that's only going to encourage injuries. So you want to look at between medium to heavy for most of the players. In this particular case, we are at medium, so I'm okay. It could be better. I could push it a bit more. I could remove rest day after match, and then the whole workload will go heavy. And then what's going to happen? Those guys who are on heavy will become very heavy, and I want to avoid that. So that's as much about scheduling that I'm going to cover today. But essentially, I use basically rest days to give my players a break, and especially when I have lots of games. Like now, essentially, we only have 2 games or 3 games, so I'll give them a rest. I don't find that it's a bad thing because players, they get playtime. That's good enough. But what happens when you've got a case of bad fixture congestion? Then what I do is, especially in the winter months, I sometimes increase this even more. The workload will drop. So if you want to find out what the workload is like, then go 1 day ahead at least. We won't see it here, but you will see that most of them will become medium, and that's a good sign because then your players, you're training them and you're reducing the chance that they're gonna get injured. But more importantly, what can you do during the winter period? Now, my winter periods have so far been pretty good. I mean, I don't generally have a bad spell in winter. If you want to count this spell, this was me trying to save my legs for a very tough period. So I rotated my youth here, Spezia, Calcio. We drew 1-0 because I literally fielded my youth except for Benassi and a few of the senior players. Then against Inter Milan, well, we lost that game because I literally had to rest half my team. And then we wanted to rotate the young boys. We managed to do a home draw against Barcelona. Then we drew again to Lazio. But here, that was largely due to the fact that I was rotating heavily. But then we went through the winter period and we even traveled to the FIFA Club World Championships and we did okay. In Gloucester, with my other save, not a problem. I don't find winter to be an issue. But what is it about winter that I sort out? It's pretty easy. Okay, the whole goal in winter is for me. I cotton ball my players, cotton ball them nice and tight. I want to make sure that they don't get injured. Because the last thing I want is an injury during a crucial period in the season. So sometimes I will reduce the match training, and sometimes what I will do is I will also give the players a bit more of a, I'll give them a bit more match preparation time, like what are they going to do. So with some of these teams, teams that I might find it really hard to break down, like Perugia Calcio, sorry, they're probably going to be defending very deep. I expect them to be defending very deep. So what we do is we do attacking movement. Now, this literally is like on the fifth, right? So it means that for half the time, the players are doing balance training, and the other half of the time, they're going to be doing match preparation. So they might be watching movies, or they might be doing some exercises in order for them to improve their attacking movement. If you like in this particular case, it's actually 1.5 days because I just changed my match preparation. I just increased the days. If I reduce it, it's just half a day. If I go 20% from the right, then it's 1.5 days. This is really good because it allows you to give your team a slight attribute boost before the match with respect to attacking movement. Exactly what attributes are involved, I don't know. I can only assume they are the off the ball attributes, anything to do with attacking movement. So it'll improve off the ball movement. It'll look at maybe decision making, stuff like that. Now, sometimes I even do this attacking set pieces. If I'm going to be traveling away here, Olympic Lyonnais, chances are this is going to be a tight match. So I spent quite a fair bit of time working on attacking set pieces before that. So I got against Cesena. I'm very much the kind of a manager that tries things out with domestic competition before I go to Europe. Something like, I mean, this is what managers in the Premiership used to do. I mean, I remember Sir Alex Ferguson trying out a 3-5-2 in England when he was already playing a 4-4-2 because he wanted to go to Europe and use the 3-5-2. So I remember matches where he tried all these kind of tactical stuff. His directors, Manchester United directors, never knew what lineup would be on the pitch on the day because he used to experiment so much just leading up to the Champions League games. And that's what I do too. I tend to experiment a lot. But here, I don't experiment as much. What I do is I prepare my side. So here for the match against Olympic Lyonnais, what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time on attacking set pieces because I think that's going to give me the edge. So when I head into games, that's what I do. I focus on giving my side an attribute boost heading into an important game. That's what match preparation does. Now, people sometimes do really strange stuff in the game. I've seen people do this. And then they leave it for the whole season because they think that it's going to give them a massive boost all the time. Now, okay, when you do something like this, there's a downside. There's a balance in time and workload, right? In this game, there's a trade-off. If you want your players to get that boost, they spend a lot of time preparing for the match, their overall workload will drop because essentially, I mean, just imagine this. They're just watching videos, trying a few exercises, but they're not in the gym working out. They're not working on their technical skills. They're working on beating the opposition. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you balance things out. If you do something like this, you're sacrificing long-term player development. So what I normally do is at the start of the season, when I'm getting my tactics sorted, match preparation is usually somewhere around here. Yes, the first month, at least the first month, match preparation is like crazy high because my boys will be on teamwork, for example. They'll be working on teamwork. I've got a new team, maybe, but more often than not, it's on match tactics because my boys haven't got a clue as to what the tinker man, will be doing. And I'm always tinkering with my tactics. And during preseason, I'm doing all kinds of nonsense. But once I'm done, once I have a rough idea, okay, this is the system I'm going to be playing, then I'm just messing with mentality and shape and a bit of roles and duties. Then I leave it on match tactics for about 1.5 months, then I come off it. And once the season is underway, I don't care anymore, because this is match tactics does nothing for my attribute development. Teamwork does nothing for my attribute development. Only these four things do. Only these four will give me a boost ahead of a game. Once the game is done, maybe the first 15 minutes we had an attribute boost, but it won't last for the whole game. So what I then do is I make sure that I return to general training, because this is where the best benefits are going to come. When you have most of your players training on general training, that's when their attribute development is going to be more focused. So I found that this is generally the best way for me to handle match preparation, and it's effective because I get good player development. Like I get my players, they're looking happy, they're developing well. Players like Paragini scoring goals for fun in the Champions League. He's already had 3 goals in 4 appearances. He was injured for a while in for the Serie A. We only managed 7 goals in 12 appearances. Then he had to, we had to put him in cotton balls again because he got injured. So yeah, I'm excited with how my players are developing. Here, I missed this save for such a long time because the boys are really coming along. Look at the way Rodrigo De Paul, he's been playing as a playmaker, and he is just exploding in certain attributes. His crossing has come a long way, 14.6 compared to when he first started out. He was pretty low. So he has definitely improved a lot. And if you want to check how how your players are developing in terms of attributes, you can always come here, and then you can always go through their attributes, and you can check out how they have improved over time. Now, whenever you want to develop players, it's important for you to understand how they fit into your system. And this is the second point of the show. We've done match preparation, what its impact is going to be on your team. So you use that, you do that, you set that up. But if you're going to be doing match preparation for set pieces, please have your set pieces set up. Okay, so we have set pieces set up. So our set pieces are going to be different for all my tactics. So my 4-3-1-2, my 4-1-3-2 are basically the 2 systems I play, and my experimental systems are my 3. I got 1 slot which is pure experimental. For my main tactics, I make sure that the boys are working on them. So I work on the attack set piece routines as well as the defense set piece routines. And I find that for my boys, it works. It always works, and I'm happy. We have done really well in terms of our set pieces this season. Both my clubs are doing really well. I mean, in one club, we're scoring a lot of goals from set pieces, and we're happy. I'm happy. So I hope that you take this into consideration the next time you create a tactic. So the first thing you want to do is, when you do your match preparation, decide how you head into certain games. If certain tight games, are probably be focusing on set pieces, defending or attacking, and how much do you want to do? That's the other question I always get. How much set piece training do you do? Well, in terms of the set piece training, it's really basic. I will have as little as this for most of the time, but once my workload starts getting heavy towards the winter period, I have been known to go all the way up to here, just to cotton ball my players. But once that period is over, I'm usually settled around at this percentage, which is 1 notch to the from the right. But for really tough games, like if I'm facing Olympic Lyonnais, maybe after the game against Genoa, I will increase match preparation time, just so that I can, the boys can work on set pieces for Siena, and then after that I'll be ready for Olympic Lyon. So this is the first thing that I do. The second thing that I want to consider is this. Now, whenever you do match preparation, you do set piece development, you do all these things, they're all in line with the bigger picture that I have for all my tactics. Whenever I create my tactics, or whenever I train my team, training and tactics go hand in hand. So I want to make sure that for my players, when I develop them, they fit into the system per se. I don't train for the sake of training. So here, if I'm looking at my team, I know that I have a very attack minded right side. So all my tactics have this focus on bombing down the right flank, and I'm usually training my wing backs in the on the right flank. All my fullbacks here are all trained as wing backs. Why? Because I want them to be working on crossing, dribbling, marking, passing, and decisions, and acceleration, pace, and stamina. Because these are the ones I value the most, and these are the attributes they need to be working on. Now, Lorenzo de Silvestri, he's getting on in age, so I make sure that I'm planning for the long term. So here, in the center of the park, I have got two playmakers. I got Baselli and DePaul. I basically have a DLP and AP. In my 4-3-1-2 is almost the same. I've got DLP and an AP. Now, for both these playmakers and any future playmaker that comes into the system, they'll all have to have the PPM dictates tempo and plays killer ball. So both of them will have this PPM, so that I can keep using the same system every season. And then when I'm looking at my players and I'm training and developing them, then I also look at training them in similar ways. So I got like always going to have a wingback training scheme. I'm always looking for a player that's like Silvestri, likes to go up, is a very aggressive player. On my left flank, I'm always playing with an inverted wingback in some games. In some games I don't have an inverted wingback, so my left back, and every single left back that's going to come through the system, he's going to be trained to be a kind of like a playmaking left back. So sometimes I use converted playmakers. Sometimes I use fullbacks who've got good decision making, not necessarily fantastic with the cross, but they're going to be very good with the tackle. They're going to have very good strong mentals. So I always look at developing players in that regard. And what kind of training do I give them? Interesting. Another second question people ask me: do I have inverted wingback training? No, I don't. I've never physically gone and chosen inverted wingback training, because I kind of like I'm very micro. I'm a micromanager when it comes to training. So I'm looking at the player and what he needs for that position. So with this team, I've got Danilo Avila, but he's not really playing anymore. I've now rotating two youngsters into that system. I've got Barreca, who's been playing quite a few games. He's already played 5 games this season, but I want him to be playing a lot more games because I have expectations for him going into the future. So when he comes to his training as a wingback. I need his first touch to improve. I need the attacking side of him. I'm working on his attacking side first. Eventually, I will settle and start working on his more sedentarious fullback training. Yes, I call it sedentarious because it is. Look at this. So he's just going to work on the tackling, marking, positioning. He's just going to work on these attributes. But I like the wingback training at the moment for him. I want him to work on concentration, decisions, and flair. So I want that part of his game to improve first when he's younger. The other fullback playing in this position is, of course, Federico Gerardo. He is a player I have a lot of expectations for, and he's probably going to go on loan, and I haven't really been thinking very much about his training, but his training is going to be more focused on being a more defensive-minded fullback, because he doesn't really have the off-the-ball ratings to bomb up. He does have, so I'm working on his mental side, positioning, concentration. He's going to be working on anticipation eventually. So here, you're going to have a plan. Like in my tactic, I don't really change systems with Torino. Torino plays either the 4-1-3-2 or the 4-3-1-2. That's how I play in my own personal saves. I love the 4-3-1-2 system. I always have. For I don't know, it was 20 over years. I love this system. Okay, it's one of my favorite systems. I've seen so many teams play this in real life, and I really fell in love with the system when we had all those classic playmakers playing in the hole behind the two strikers. Ever since I saw this system being played in the 90s, I've been in love with it ever since. And I love the system. I think it's potentially a phenomenal system. It's a lot more exciting to watch on the pitch, especially when you got marauding fullbacks bombing down the flanks. So it's just something I like to do. And so my tactics are always based around playing the same system, and it's very possible to play the same system for as long as you want. But here you have to make a plan, and in our plan we work on getting the results through match preparation. We work on our set piece routines, and then we also think about long-term planning for the whole squad. Well, I hope you found this video on FM training handy and useful. If there are any other features on the FM training that you need cleared up, please ask me. Drop me a note on this YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the show if you've enjoyed it as well. There's plenty of other shows on this channel. Please look through the playlist. We've got shows on tactics, training, how-to series, and I'm going to keep doing more and more of that. Now, if you have any questions, you know where to find me on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for supporting this channel from my Patron community. All of you, keep this show going. I appreciate everything you've done for the show. For now, I'm going to have to say goodbye. You guys have a good one. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.